Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why fitting in feels so important, especially when you are young, and how that might connect to things like trying new things or even using substances? Well, this new study might have a clue. Imagine this: you are in a new group and you just want to get along. You might change how you act or what you say to feel like you belong, right? That is sort of what social attunement is about. It is not about being forced to do something, but feeling a natural pull to match the vibe of the people around you. And scientists have found this might play a bigger role than we thought, especially in how we explore the world, try new things, and maybe even use substances. Most of the time when we talk about social influence, we think about peer pressure, like your friends are all drinking, so you might feel like you have to join in. But this research is looking at something a little deeper. It is about that inner drive to connect and feel in sync with others. And this study is actually a validation of a tool, a questionnaire that helps measure this social attunement. They've taken a Dutch questionnaire and made sure it works just as well in English. The scientists here wanted to see if this concept, social attunement, actually has a connection to real-world behaviors like using alcohol or cannabis. Impulsivity, which means acting without thinking too much, and sensation-seeking, which is that urge for new and exciting experiences. And they wanted to know if this connection changes as we get older across our whole lives. So, what did they do? They got a bunch of people, close to 450 of them, to fill out this new English version of the Social Attunement Questionnaire, or SAQI for short. This questionnaire asks questions to figure out how much people tend to tune into their social surroundings. They also had these participants answer questions about how much alcohol and cannabis they use, how impulsive they are, and how much they like new and exciting experiences. They looked at people from 16 years old all the way up to 61. Before diving into the fun stuff, they had to make sure the questionnaire itself was a good tool. They used something called confirmatory factor analysis to check if the English version held up the same way the original Dutch one did. Think of it as testing if the questions really measure what they're supposed to. The good news is the questionnaire seemed to work well. It has two main parts, one about thinking about how others perceive you, and another about actually changing your behavior to fit in. These two parts seem to capture social attunement pretty well. They also checked for internal consistency, which basically means if the questions within each part of the questionnaire give similar results. And yep, they were good. So we can trust this English SC2 to measure social attunement. They also found that the questionnaire worked the same way for men and women, which is important for a good measurement tool. Now, for the really interesting part, what did they find when they looked at how social attunement connects to other things? One of the first things they noticed was that younger people tended to score higher on social attunement. This makes sense, right? When you are younger, fitting in with your peers is often a really big deal. The more people scored on the behavior part of the social attunement questionnaire, meaning they actually changed their behavior to fit in, the more likely they were to report using alcohol and cannabis, and also being more impulsive. It seems that this tendency to adapt to your social environment might be linked to these risk-taking behaviors. But here is where it gets really cool and a bit mind-bending. Age actually changed how social attunement related to alcohol and sensation-seeking. For younger people, higher social attunement was linked to more alcohol consumption and more sensation-seeking. It is like when you are young, wanting to fit in might drive you to try more things and be more adventurous, sometimes with substances. But as people got older, this connection flipped. For older individuals, higher social attunement was actually linked to less alcohol consumption and less sensation-seeking. It's like when you're younger, fitting in might mean drinking or seeking thrills. But as you get older, fitting in might mean being more responsible and less prone to those kinds of behaviors. This really drives home the idea that social attunement can be a double-edged sword, acting as both a risk and a protective factor depending on where you are in life. This specific finding about alcohol consumption and age is quite telling. They saw that for younger folks, aligning with the social group meant more drinking. But for older individuals, this same desire to align seemed to lead towards less drinking. It's a significant shift in how social cues influence behavior over our lifespan. Interestingly, they didn't see the same age-dependent pattern with cannabis use. While social attunement and cannabis use were linked, age didn't seem to change that relationship as much as it did for alcohol and sensation-seeking. This could be because cannabis use patterns, and the social reasons for using it might be a bit different and more complex than alcohol. So what is the big picture here? This study gives us a really solid, validated tool to measure social attunement in English, and it confirms that this tendency to harmonize with our social environment is strongly linked to behaviors like substance use, impulsivity, and sensation seeking. It seems like the part of social attunement that involves actually changing your behavior to fit in, the behavior subscale, is more closely tied to these externalizing behaviors. While thinking about how others see you, the cognition part was mainly linked to age itself. This suggests that the act of conforming is more directly involved in adopting certain behaviors. The big takeaway is that social attunement isn't just a static trait. Its impact on our behavior, especially risk-taking, evolves significantly as we age. What might be a factor that encourages experimentation in youth could become a factor that promotes moderation in adulthood. Now, every study has its limits, and this one is no different. A lot of the participants were highly educated, so we need to be careful about saying these findings apply to everyone. Also, while they did include people of a good age range, the majority were still under 40. It would be really interesting to see how this plays out in even older adults who might be going through different life transitions. And because a big part of this study was about validating the questionnaire, some of the findings about the associations with behaviors should be seen as a starting point, requiring further research to confirm and deepen our understanding. But overall, this is a really exciting step. The English Saki is ready to be used by researchers, and the findings suggest that understanding our need to attune to social groups can give us incredible insights into why we do the things we do, especially as we navigate the different stages of life. It really paints a picture of how our social world shapes our internal actions throughout our internal lives. What do you guys think? Does this idea of social attunement resonate with your own experiences? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of social behavior, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more explanations just like this, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.